Hello, my name is Layla, and welcome to my 8th Flosstube video, where I will be sharing everything that I've been cross-stitching on for the last 2 weeks. I hope everyone has had a great 2 weeks, and for everyone in the US, a happy Thanksgiving. I had a great Thanksgiving with my family, made some really yummy desserts, and it was a good day. Um, I have some exciting things to share today with my cross stitching because I don't get finishes very often, having mostly very large projects. But today I have 3 finishes to share, which is very out of the ordinary for me. And the first one, which is very exciting because it's a full coverage finish, is for the Heaven and Earth Design 2025 Stitch Along. And I was stitching the piece Jelly World. Don't really need to show you, but this is what the end result is. And this is where I was last time I showed you. Wow, that was a lot left empty, but this is just the last corner of the piece. And it's all done. And I have some kind of weird reflection. Oh well. This is stitched on 28 count even weave, 2/1 half cross. And I generally like to do half cross for my full coverage pieces because it just goes significantly faster for me. I know a lot of people say it doesn't go twice as fast, and that's probably true. It doesn't actually go twice as fast, but it's still significantly faster than a full cross. And for most pieces, it really doesn't make that much of a difference in the way it looks. I think it came out great. I still need to wash it and iron it, but there you go. Jelly World, all done. Very exciting. This one was charted by L&L Designs, not charted, designed by L&L Designs. I think that's just the people who are heading up the SAL in the HADE Facebook group. Made an AI image, so that's what this is. Charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, like I said. And now I just need to find my order number so I can post a photo of that in their finish survey in order to get my free Heaven and Earth Designs chart. And the one that I've decided that I would like to get, it's called Feline Duality. This is the mock-up, not the actual art, so you can see that it is really good detail. They had a mini also, but I just didn't like the detail as much. I just think this is the coolest chart. It's probably going to be a fair bit of confetti in like the whiskers and the stars and stuff like that, but it will be what it is. Out of all the charts, I had a few that I was thinking of, and this is the one that just really stood out to me the most. So hopefully I will be getting that around beginning of the year. And speaking of the beginning of the year, I do plan to take part in the 2026 HADE SAL. Mostly I'm just hoping to get one page finish in order to get the exclusive Amy Stewart chart. I don't even know if I'm going to like it, but that is what it is. And this is the chart that I've chosen. Oh, I can never remember what it's called. Draconis Leopis Leo or something that I don't even know if I'm pronouncing right. I think the artwork is by Raven Phelan. Phelan. Um, and this is like one of the charts that was the least chosen as far as I can tell in the SAL group. There are like 2 charts. They every once in a while they'll post a little bar graph on the Facebook group for the 2026 SAL showing how many people have signed up for each chart. And this is one of the 2 at the very top that have like barely any people signed up, and then there's ones at the very bottom that have hordes, like the owl one and the what's the word? Not cabbage. Wow. Cabin. Cottage. That's what I was looking for. The cottage and like this. And then this one just has a few people relatively signed up. I don't know why, but I really like this one. This is the one that stood out to me. So I should be starting that at the end of this year, the beginning of next. And I'm so happy to have this Jelly World piece done. I spent a lot of this year working on it. It took a lot of my focus. So now I should be able to get more work done on other projects this year, this upcoming year. So that's good. That's finish number 1. Where am I going to put this? Over there. Okay. And then finish number 2. Oh, I forgot to say, I did 7,128 half stitches over the last 2 weeks to finish up Jelly World. So, okay. Next one is my little stamped kit called Kitten Eats Fish. And here it is done. Oh yeah, I don't need to show you the finished product. Now I did soak it in hot water to get rid of the stamping, and most of it came off well, but there was this black letters and an outline, which there's still a hint of it. And I had to go to work yesterday before I had a chance to work on it more. So I'm gonna have to get some more hot water and soak this longer. Um, but otherwise, it's super cute. And that was a total of 607 stitches to get me to the finish. Though most of that was back stitching. I think I basically counted the back stitching, 2 back stitches per stitch or something like that. And let's see, this is where I was last time I showed you. Was almost done with the stitching. And just for, what's the best way to show this? Just for a side-by-side comparison, if I can hold these both up at once with difficulty, this is what it looks like with and without back stitching. It is just adorable. This is a 16 count Aida 2/1 full cross with back stitching in combination of 1 strand and 2 strand and a few French knots. And that is finish number 2. Finish number 3 is Mushrooms and Toadstools by Owl Forest Embroidery. And this is one, I think it was their free stitch along last year, which would be 2024. Every year they put out a free stitch along where they put out the chart in 12 pieces on the free section of their website. And you don't know what the whole thing's going to look like. It's a mystery stitch along. And this is the, the finished picture that they have. Now, the one thing that I don't like about stitching their charts is that I generally have been stitching their free charts and I'm not buying their thread. And all of their charts are made with their overdyed thread in mind. And it really gives them a great look. They take DMC and then they overdye it and it gives the really beautiful variegated thread. Of course, I know that if I was to be stitching with these variegated threads, it would stress me out figuring out how to deal with the variegation. And I should just say, don't deal with it, just stitch. But I would be worried about how it's going to look. But in any case, I really love the way that looks with the variegated thread. And they had this special fabric that has little prints on the background to give it a kind of grassy look. And I don't have any of that. So in a way, I feel a little bit disappointed in the way mine looks. But on the other hand, it is still a really, really pretty project. And before I pulled it out last week, I was right here. This is near the bottom of the piece. The bottom is just like this. There's the word toadstools and and I basically had all that done. So here it is. Let's see if I can fit this in the screen. I can. The word toadstools doesn't show up very well. I don't know if I should have chosen a darker floss or what. And annoyingly, so I showed you that I was stitching, I was right around here. And I needed to, I think I had like these guys in and maybe some of that. So I stitched all this, I stitched a lot of the way that way, finished pulling these in. And then I realized as I was stitching the word toadstools, that toadstools seemed to be too far away from the stuff up here. I'm like, why is there such a large gap? What's wrong? What's wrong? And I figured out that this little, I think that's probably supposed to be a slug, was supposed to be up more like this. Basically, I added one extra little leafy thing in the border. So everything was that much lower than it should be. And I had already stitched way too much to want to frog it out. I was so close to the finish. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to unstitch all that and do it again. So I continued along. I finished the border. I finished the word toadstools. This motif, I hadn't stitched yet, so I kind of just more centered it in the space. But I had this weird little open area here between toadstools and this mushroom motif that looked off to me because everything else was kind of more compact. So I just added in these little things that I copied from there. And, it looks good enough. I think if I hadn't told you, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But there we are, mushrooms and toadstools complete. And I did 1,495 stitches to get this completed. This is a 32 count even weave in a mystery color. I don't know. I got this from another stitcher who had stopped stitching. And I did it 2/2 full cross with the DMC version of the Owl Forest embroidery pattern. One or two colors I changed a little. I think I changed one of the tans to be a little darker because it was blending into the fabric too much. But otherwise, it's what was called for. And with all of those finishes, I only have one other piece to show you. So I only worked on 4 projects this week. And in a way, this one has kind of a mini finish because the one I'm talking about is Moroccan lanterns. And I have been working on just stitching all of the black before I fill in any of the colors. And I finished all of the black. This is where I was last time. This is the bottom right corner of the project, and there's just this little dangly bit here and the bottom of this lantern. And that all got done. And here we are. This is on a piece of 18 count Aida that I hand dyed. And yeah, that's all the black. Next, I'll start filling in the lanterns one at a time, I think, probably from the left to the right or not. We'll see. She also has a Chinese lanterns project. Oh, This is by the Vivsters, Vivian Powers on Etsy. I don't know if she has a website or not, but she's definitely on Etsy. And she has a Chinese lanterns pattern too that I got, and I also want to stitch that. I'm going to have to see if I can recreate a similar gray dye so that they'll be matching. This almost is just really cool as it is, but I'm definitely going to go ahead and fill it in. I mean, it is really cool as it is, but it almost is enough to just keep it as is. And if I didn't say, this is 18 count Aida, 2/1 full cross. There we go. So yesterday, actually, I finished Jelly World, and I was almost about to go ahead and start, I think, keep forgetting what, I think it's called Northern Lights. I was about to start this one. I actually thought, you know what, I have a couple hours this evening. I'll go ahead and give this one a start on my exciting 40 count fabric. I even made a little mark where the corner of the project should start. But I ended up getting called into work unexpectedly, so that didn't happen. Hopefully it will happen soon. And I don't usually talk about plans much because I don't generally have a clear idea of what I'm going to work on each week. I kind of pick it depending on what I feel like or prompts based on cross-stitching games I'm playing on Facebook. But I do know that today itself, I'm going to be pulling out and working on Boreal Colors by Stitches So Beautiful, artwork by Eder Jose Rosa, because usually each month, the owner of Stitches So Beautiful has a stitch along where you stitch on one of their pieces. I think it's either 250 full cross stitches or 500 half cross stitches per week, and you show your progress. And if you do that for the full month, she gives you a free chart. But the last couple months, she hasn't been doing it because I think of an illness or a surgery that she was going through. But this month, she is doing it again. I think it's too late to join now if you wanted to. But I will be stitching on my Boreal Colors, and this is where I'll be starting from. So I'll just be working on filling in, I think that's a page, and that's a page. So I'm kind of working in this column. And I don't know if I'll get that done this month, but once that column is done, I'm going to take it out of the frame and then start stitching a 3-page wide column over here, back to the top. So that's my starting point for Boreal Colors for this month. And we'll see how far I get. And then one last thing to show in non-stitchy update is I do a little knitting on the side, and I showed few videos ago, a little cat bed I made that I knit, which my cat Emmy, where is she? Oh, she's been wandering around this morning. That she wasn't really using, but now I put it in her cat carrier. So whenever she goes in there, she's laying on it, and I feel like it's getting some use. So that's nice. But it's getting cold, and we don't have the best heating at night. Again, I don't know if she'll use it. I'm getting a weird glare when I turn away. Okay, but I decided to make her a little blanket. It's from the same yarn, this Karen anniversary cakes. I think it's a limited edition thing. But I'm just making her a simple little blanket, square blanket. It's a corner to corner, just like I think it's the same kind of pattern you use when you're making dishcloths. I think what's it called, like grandma's dishcloth or something like that. But it's also I think the pattern I'm using is from Lion Brand, just like a corner to corner blanket. And this is halfway through. I'm about to start decreasing. We'll see how big it is. I think this is a chunky yarn, though somehow I think it's not necessarily as thick as a normal chunky yarn. I don't know, whatever. But I've increased up to I think it's 100 stitches on the needles, and I'm just going to decrease. And I actually had it almost this far. The last video I did, but I totally forgot to show it, and I just added on a few more rows to finish up my increases. And we'll see when I finish it, when I get around to doing the decreases. Um, should be on the downhill slope because as you're increasing and the rows are getting longer and longer, it feels like a slog because each row takes longer. But then if I'm now starting to decrease again, the rows get shorter and then it feels quicker. And then even though it's going to take the same amount of time because it's just going to be decreasing the other half of the pattern, I think it'll start to feel faster as the rows get shorter and shorter. So that'll be cool. And hopefully next time I'll have some progress on that, but who knows? I don't tend to pick up knitting very much. In any case, that was my stitching for the last 2 weeks, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 more weeks. Happy stitching!